All right, The Black Phone, a movie I have been anticipating basically all year long. I think they showed this trailer originally back in October, and I think the movie was supposed to come out in February, and it got pushed back, I think, two different times. But it's finally out. It was, listen, I know I'm not the only one that was anticipating this movie because yesterday you could just feel the sense of happiness right before the movie began. The theater I was in, people were pumped to see this movie, and I'm very happy to say this movie did not disappoint. And I am so glad that this movie did not disappoint because there's so many times I feel like I get anticipated for stuff, and sometimes the stuff I get anticipated to sometimes leads to me being let down. I thought the trailer for the movie gave away too much, but when you actually go and see the movie itself, it really doesn't. The trailer makes you think something's going to happen this way, and the movie goes a completely different direction. So that stuff is all really great. We need to talk about the characters in this movie because the characters are what drive this movie. And I'll say Ethan Hawke, who plays the grabber, I'll talk about him a little bit. I want to talk about two young main characters first. You got Finney, who's the main kid who's been grabbed by the grabber in this movie. And then you got his sister Gwen, who is able to kind of see visions and everything of what's going on with Finney. And she's able to, or at least she thinks she's going to be able to help the police kind of find out his location. Before we talk about Finney, I want to talk about his sister Gwen in this movie. She is a phenomenal actress in this movie. One of the things is if you're going to have kids kind of be like the driving force of this movie, they're going to have to at least have some acting chops to kind of sell you on the idea. And she is a phenomenal actress. There is a scene in this movie that involves her and her father, and it's this screaming match back and forth with them. And the way she's acting, it didn't even, to be honest with you, it didn't even seem like acting at a certain point. And it was, you could tell, not just myself, even people around me were almost getting really tense in this moment. It felt like a real family was having a screaming match, and some documentarian walked in the room with a camera and just started filming. It was unbelievable, and I haven't seen a young actress, if I can get the word out. I haven't seen a young actress deliver a performance like that in quite a while, and it was really powerful. And then you got Finney, who's locked in the basement of the grabber's house, and he's able to really kind of hold the movie on his own. And he's himself is a really great actor. And me and my girlfriend were talking. We're thinking to ourselves, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised, especially just kind of the look of the kid. We wouldn't be surprised if in a few years if he starts to be in a couple more movies, and maybe at some point in his career becomes a lot bigger, because that's what this movie really drives on is the characters, and it has that unique story point of the fact that the black phone rings and the kids of the past that the grabber has gotten who are now dead are able to sit there and talk to Finn. And while that's all cool and it really is unique, it's the characters themselves that really drive the movie forward. And I don't want to talk about too much of the stuff that kind of happens with the black phone because there's not too many calls that happen. So I want to leave that all for people, if you haven't seen the movie yet, to kind of go and watch the movie for yourself and kind of see what happens there. But the way the black phone is utilized, and every time the phone is picked up in the shots that we're able to get in the way Scott Derrickson decides to direct this movie, it's all done really well. So to talk about Ethan Hawke, honestly, you could have sat there and not promoted Ethan Hawke in this movie at all. I understand why they did, because yeah, it'll probably generate a little bit more money that way. But you don't realize that that's Ethan Hawke the majority of the time. He has his mask on and everything, and I really like that. And you don't see a whole lot of the grabber in this movie, and I really appreciated that because it made it so every time you do see the grabber on screen, you're a little bit more freaked out. And he's very unpredictable. You don't know what he's gonna do, and that's another thing I like, because in a lot of movies you can just tell, you're just like, oh, we've seen this in movies before. This is about to get really cliche, and in this movie, there's not really too many cliche things. And that's another thing this is another aspect I really just enjoyed about this movie. And a lot of that does come down to the way that they wrote the grabber into the story and exactly what he decides to do. At one moment, you're almost like, dude, this guy, I mean, is he actually going to be more of a nicer person? Like, what does he actually want? The movie kind of has you on edge in that aspect of like, who exactly is the grabber and what exactly does he want? And Ethan Hawke did a great job selling that performance. But like I said, you don't even realize that really is Ethan Hawke at first, because he has his mask on the entire time for the most part. So the characters in this movie really drive the movie forward, including Ethan Hawke as the grabber. The story, it's an hour and 41 minutes long. Actually, my one negative about this movie, and I feel like I've been saying this so much lately with recent movies that have come out, my one negative about this movie is the fact that I actually do think the movie probably could have been 10 minutes shorter. Had this movie been just a crisp hour and a half long, I feel like it would have been even tighter, because it already is a really good movie, which is the length it is, but just a little 10 minutes shorter could have been better, because there are some scenes, and I feel like there's some repetitiveness with the fact that there is some stuff with the black phone that seems to like be like, okay, we kind of get what's going on here. Maybe we can kind of get on with it. There's only a little bit of that, to the point where, like I said, you just shave 10 minutes off. It's great. And the way Scott Derrickson's able to direct this movie and some of the stuff that he shows and the stuff that he decides not to show, it's really good because we never see too much, but we see just enough to really sit there and be on the edge of our seat and really be wondering what exactly is going to happen next. And the performances really sell this movie. It's not a horror movie that relies on jump scares. It's a horror movie that really relies on the atmosphere that it builds, the characters that it's kind of having you grow an attachment to, and a really creepy character called The Grabber. So definitely go and watch this in the theaters. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. And anyway, if any of you guys have seen The Black Phone, let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below. And like always, I hope to see you back in my next review.